So, welcome to part 3 of our walk around Central Station. Now, our walk, as you already know, started at Haymarket and went to Railway Square, and then across to the Railway Institute building on the corner of Chalmers Street, and then we're about to finish off our walk by going back to Central. So if you haven't seen the other 2 episodes, can I highly recommend them. It will make more sense out of some of the things you'll see in this particular video. Having said that, if all you're interested in is Prince Alfred Park, which we're going to investigate, and the walk underground back to the Central platform, then this is the right video for you. Let's have a closer look at one of the maps I found on my walk. We've got Bilmore Park, we've got Central Station, Prince Alfred Park, and underneath that a whole lot of blank area where railway lines are now. All of that blank area was where the original Central Station was. And if you have a look here, Devonshire Street, which I showed you earlier, Devonshire Street carries on and stops blank flat. And what's that little line? The continuation of Devonshire Street towards Lee Street. Yes, that did continue on as Devonshire Street, running across Central Station. Central Station was then located on the right hand side of Devonshire Street. When they expanded Central Station, they just put the tracks over the top of Devonshire Street. Then exhumed the bodies from the Devonshire Street cemetery, and that's where they built Central. To help you visualise it, I found an old photograph of Devonshire Street Cemetery. Check the details below for where you can also have a look at the photograph. And what I want to point out is, first of all, you can certainly see the cemetery, and in the middle ground there you can see the old Devonshire Street, the Redford Terminus, otherwise known as the old Central Station, and behind the trees on the left you can see the Railway Institute building, but for me most significant is right at the back, where you can see the Intercolonial Exhibition building, which I think is a really fascinating building, and we'll investigate that in more detail a little bit later. So Devonshire Street Cemetery was located right where Central is now, and the original Central was located where there's just blank tracks. So the sign that says "You are here" is where I'm located right now, and that will hopefully explain why there are so many historic buildings on this corner, because this is the corner of the cemetery, the original station, so the original Central Station, which would have been located down there. Explains why there's a pub here and another hotel here, and Devonshire Street used to be a very popular street. You've got that street there, and you've got Chalmers Street down here, but it used to go on. Actually, not quite here. It used to go on before it got built up. It used to go on where that tunnel now is. So that's Devonshire Street. The tunnel we went through earlier. And everything to the right of Devonshire Street was the cemetery, and everything to the left was the old Central Station. Let's go down and have a bit of a look. Everything down that way is Central Station, current Central Station, old cemetery. And if I pan around, everything from this point onwards was the old Central Station and associated buildings. Now all just railway line and railway infrastructure. So there you have it. So let me walk a bit further south before I go back to Central Station, and then I'll talk about the Devonshire Street on the way back. This is Parklands. The tram turns off down Devonshire Street before it gets this far, but it is a huge area of Parklands. There is no particular reason for it being here, you would think, since it's not surrounded by office buildings either. There's a few spaces here and there, but it's such a big parkland for such a relatively remote location, especially when you consider it's in the centre of Sydney. It's near Central Station, but as you've probably already realised, Central Station isn't particularly central. So let's cross over to the park, see if we can see any history for why this park is here. But I think if you've been listening to my video so far, you might realise why it's here. Okay, this is just a map of the park. There's sports fields, various other things, and if we get really close, you can see Devonshire Street, which we just came from, and we were walking up Chalmers Street when we saw this ground. Now, I'm going to have a look around for any historical signs. We've already seen the Railway Institute. Let's see what else I can find. Okay, I think it's just all old railway sheds. Can't see anything that talks about the history of the place. Okay, but it doesn't look like there's any historic landmarks that I can see. I might come back and look a bit later. Oh, hello, hello, hello. The other side of the post. I knew there'd have to be something here. Let's go and have a look at it. We read the post on the outside, but here we are. Prince Alfred, Duke of Edinburgh, 1844 to picture 1900. Worst Circus programme for 1940. So one can only assume that Worst Circus used to be on this ground. So not surprisingly, it's called Prince Alfred Park, after Prince Alfred, Duke of Edinburgh, who visited in 1866. After he survived an assassination attempt in Sydney, colonial authorities rushed to make amends by naming a local feature after him. That's the history I was looking for. I've seen this already. Including this park and Royal Prince Alfred Hospital in Camperdown. This park site is a remnant of the Cleveland paddocks, formed by a grant of 10 acres to Charles Smith in 1809. The first major development was Cleveland House, built for the merchant Daniel Cooper in the 1820s. The building still stands at the corner of Bedford and Buckingham Streets, so I might have to go and visit that. The grant was later subdivided for St Paul's Anglican Church, the terminus of Sydney Railway, and that's why we're here, and the Cleveland Street Public School. The government acquired the remaining area, dedicating it as a public reserve in 1865. The park hosted annual exhibitions by the Agricultural Society of New South Wales from 1869 to 1881. So this was an original showgrounds before Moore Park and what's now Olympic Stadium, Olympic Park. So that's interesting. From 1900, improvements were added to the park, including a bandstand, a tennis courts, Coronation Field House, and playground were completed by 1940. That's why this park is here, and it's named Prince Alfred Park for political reasons, essentially, so that Prince Albert didn't feel so upset about his assassination attempt because a park was named after him. Sounds a bit like weird logic to me, but there you have it.
So while we're here, let me show you an old photograph I managed to dig up. In the bottom left-hand corner you can see the Institute, and in the middle of the picture you can see the exhibition building and the surrounding park.
Back down underground, looking at where Belmont Street would have run, looking back where I came. And I'm now going to catch a train. So I'm now going to walk down Central Station underground instead of Chalmers Street. And walk back to where we were before Oh, I have to walk back to where I'm going to catch the train in Central Station. There was a set of stairs, so that's where I've just come. So I went down the lifts, and the set of stairs is now in this new area that's been built, which includes, amongst other things, Chalmers Street entrance, which I've shown you in another video. So that's the Chalmers Street entrance. Andrew's not here to give any emergency help, and if you get that, congratulations, you've been watching a lot of my videos. Probably too many. Okay, why is this new development important? Because this is where we go to get down Central Walk. This is a new underground passage that they have built for us at Central as part of the new development. So we no longer have to go through a crummy old tunnel, and this, yes, is even wider than the tunnel we just went through. Actually, it's not a crummy old tunnel, it's a wonderful tunnel. Lots of artistic art, lots of artwork, lots of paintings, but there we go. Where are we? I'm not going to Macarthur, so that's not the stop I want. I don't want that platform. Let's try the next one. For those who know the area, I'm heading west now, about halfway between Devonshire Street and Central. I don't want that one either. I've got a funny feeling mine will be somewhere towards the end, which might give you an opportunity to show you what's on the other side of the Devonshire Street. Again, City Circle, don't want that. Parramatta, not quite, but nearly. Yep, Sydney to Parramatta, oldest line in Sydney, and certainly one of the most popular. I need the Epping line. So that's the platform I'm going to be going up, platform 18. And hopefully I'll be able to show you a very special treat just off of the Devonshire Street, or what was Devonshire Street. The end of platform 18, and looking at where I was, that's the Railway Institute, that building there. If the maps are to scale, the tunnel should be running underneath the platforms, just past the end of those platforms. So there we go. So this was all cemetery, and the stuff we just saw a moment ago, all those railway lines, which you can see here, was the old Central Station, and I believe the Chalmers Street tunnel runs down here. It can't be running too far down there because that goes underground as well, so it must be somewhere around here. And there's the block of amenities that they built just recently that blocks our view of what it is I want to show you, but maybe on the train, once we get past the building, I'll be able to show you. So here we are leaving Central Station. I've tried to get as close to the end of the platform to represent Central Station as I can, but here we go. So there's Central, there's the Railway Institute, and over the other side, I promised you I would try and show you what's beyond those buildings, but it looks like we're blocked. Looks like we're not going to be able to see it, unfortunately. The thing I want to show you. That's because of the line we've taken. Okay, we're going down, so I won't be able to show you that, but I can hopefully show you all the stops as we go. Of course, this was the original ground level, so this is exactly where the original Central Station would be. Don't know if we would be able to see any remains of the original, but this is certainly where it was located, down here on the ground. Okay, we're starting to pull out of the little culvert we're in. And if my bearings are correct, the original Central Station was this side of the bridge, because we're now heading into Redfern. Okay, so here we are pulling out of Central Station. We should get a good view of the mortuary station as we go along. There's the tunnel going down there. So the original Central would have started here and would have continued on past these signal points, and we should see coming up fairly soon mortuary station. Okay, so that would have been probably the turn off for the goods line, and there is mortuary station. There you have it. And there's a mural here to the architect.
So that brings us to the end of Walk 1, our 3-episode edition of our walks around Central Station. Our second walk around Central Station will start at the corner of Eddy and Chalmers Street and find its way down to the Railway Institute building, and we will have a look at Cleveland House and the church and the boys' school, where my camera will die, but I'll be rescued by a kebab shop, before making our way along Cleveland Road to the historic Regent Street, where we will go to visit the mortuary station and a whole bevy of historical buildings, including the Sutherland Hotel and the former Bank of New South Wales building, as well as lots of other buildings that we've seen earlier, such as, for example, the Marcus Clark building and the St Lawrence Church, making for a complete loop around both the old and new Central Station buildings. So subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be informed about when I drop the next edition of Walks Around Central Station.